Good morning, everybody. The presentation I'm going to do today is going to be about innovation, and it's going to be both about the innovation of our company as an ingredient company, where we innovated about something that already existed, as well as when we did that, how we actually provide the tools to food and beverage manufacturers to innovate themselves into new products. So to start this, let me take you through what we are about.
This leaf is Stevia. It's green, it's small, it's sweet, but it's also so much more. When this leaf is dried in the sun, steeped in water, filtered and purified, it adds a naturally sweet taste to the products you love. But that's not all. This leaf is powerful. It can reduce our impact on the environment through sustainable farming techniques. And raise its oxygen levels through the planting of thousands of seedlings. It can help those with few options start profitable businesses and give their children the start they deserve. It touches thousands of foods you probably already know, and millions of people you've probably never met. Yes, it's a small leaf with a simple purpose, but it has the power to move the world. PureCircle Stevia, sweet in so many ways.
Thank you. Quite emotional and direct message for an ingredient, not too bad. So let me tell you a little bit about our company. First of all, I'm going to talk about the mission. This company was actually, PureCircle, was actually founded in 2001. And the mission that for our founders was to encourage healthier diets through the supply of natural ingredients to the global food and beverage industry. So most important for us is natural ingredients and healthier diets, and that's the core of our creation as a company. Now, we heard this morning from Nielsen that 5 out of 8 new product launches today had an appeal about healthy. And in 2001, when this company started, we actually spotted this trend. How we actually realized this is in the vision, and the vision is to lead the global expansion of Stevia as the next mass volume natural sweetener. So our mission was actually articulated through a vision to make a plant called Stevia a mass volume natural sweetener. Now, all of you today might think that this is, of course, that's why not, it's been done. But let's go back to 2001, and let's go back to what Stevia was. Stevia was a plant that was actually grown a lot, most of it anyway, in China. I don't know if you're aware, but the largest grower of Stevia in the world today is China. And since 1977, the Stevia has been actually grown in China, and it's been used in traditional, what we call it, Asian applications, mainly in Korea, Japan, and China. And the issue to become a global solution to a lot of the new product launches was that it used to be crude extract coming out of Stevia. It did not have the quality, it did not have the consistency to go into major global brands. So we did not invent Stevia. What we did is we innovated around something that already existed at that time. So the history of our company, as I said, starts in 2001, but we divided actually in 3 main areas. First of all, we had a proof of concept. We took Stevia, we actually refined it, and purify it into single molecules that were actually consistent and deliver the quality, and also address one of the issues that they had, that the taste improvement to actually go into main brands. That happened between 2001 and 2008. The first product that we actually launched was high purity Reve. Reve is one of the molecules that's in the stevia leaf, and we purify that to 97%. Now, that was a big game changer, because up to now, we only have crude extract. And crude extract had about a lower than 90% purity of stevia, and it had a lot of different molecules mixed. So what we did is we were able to isolate and actually purify some of these molecules to launch. And the first one we launched was in Reve, and we scale up all this constantly in 2001 and 2008. In 2008 is a big date for us, because the FDA in the United States approved Reve for usage in food and beverage companies. When we talk about scale, I just want to give you a little bit of the scale of that. Reve was actually 5 metric tons in total 2005 that we were able to manufacture. Today, one batch of this product is 5 metric tons, so we can actually manufacture 2,000 metric tons today. We did scale up in 2009 and 2014, and up to now we are in a path of sustainable growth, addressing a lot of the trends that we see in the marketplace. Some statistics here, up to today, there's been like 10,000 new product launches using stevia, and those are big brands using it. And you'll see that later on. So let's look at it. Why that? Let's look at some facts. Why stevia we think is going to be mass? Why we have to innovate around this? First of all, you have a rising public health concerns. If you look at it, the global obesity crisis, it's hitting. It's not only anymore a US problem, it's also hitting countries like China. So there is a big awareness of that. The governments are taking a lot of action into that. I'm not sure if you know, but there is traffic goals against sugar. And your usage of a lot of sugar actually creates some issues like diabetes, etc. And how are consumers also reacting to this? So we talked about governments. Well, consumers are basically going for health and well-being, as I said before, and as has been presented this morning by Nielsen. And what's good for me is good for others, and it's good for planet. Now, you may think that this is actually a trend that's actually happened mostly in the West, but it's actually a global trend. And Chinese consumers are getting more and more into this as well. And finally, there's a lot of other sweeteners that exist today, because obviously we are not the first ones that actually are proposing to reduce sugar that are under fire. A lot of it, there's been a lot of controversy about artificial sweeteners. Not only about sugar, but artificial sweeteners. So basically, what we're doing is actually responding to that, and responding to that, enabling our customers to actually innovate, to actually respond to these trends. So as I said before here, as you know, the macro trends, you have government, you have local activists, you have actually consumers really responding to that, and you also have a lot of issues with the current products that can actually replace sugar. Now, we do have an extensive library of consumer research. I just wanted to summarize today some of these messages. Obviously, if anybody's interested, we can provide a lot more with data, etc. But if you look at the global industry here, we have studies from countries like UK, Chile, France, Mexico, Argentina, US. What are the top messages that actually resonate in customers? What does consumers, want to hear? They want to hear a few things. And most of them, these are the 5 top things they want to hear is natural, natural, natural. Expressed in different ways, but all about natural. All natural, naturally sweetened, no artificial sweeteners, sweetness from nature. And obviously, don't forget, taste is also a part of it. They want to keep the same taste, and they want to do that in a natural way. But I'm talking about globally. So what is actually happening in Asia? What is actually happening in Asia? We think that this is something that happens only in Europe and the US. I don't think so. Look at as well, we did studies as well in countries like China, Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and Philippines. And again, the top 5 rated messages that consumers react the best are all related to nature and natural. Interesting here that also Asian consumers included something like help maintain a healthy blood sugar level. So obviously the trends are there. It's not only governments, it's not only food and beverage companies having the idea, consumers are demanding to have more natural products and claims. Now, what are the main global companies in the world reacting to? What are they doing? Are they really sitting down? No, of course not. You know that as well, because it's also happening in China. They're actually reacting. If you look some of the messages here, and actually public messages that we put, like improving nutrient density of its products by 10% by increasing healthy diet nutrients while reducing total sugar and fat, and investing in healthy eating education and research. That's just the known. Pepsi, what did they do? They actually did remove aspartame from Diet Pepsi in the United States. Campbell's will stop using artificial ingredients by 2017. Hershey's pledged to share information about what ingredients are used and shifting towards simple ingredients. McDonald's phasing out the use of human antibiotics in chicken by 2017. Simplifying ingredients in new grilled chicken. Nestle removing artificial flavors and colorings from all these chocolate candy products and artificial flavors from frozen pizzas by the end of 2015, etc., etc., etc. So the global trend is there, and the global trend is setting us to innovate towards that. So let me tell you about my product and how can my product help you. How can Stevia help you address some of these trends and these demands from consumers, etc. And I have to say here, a little I'd like to correct, since its introduction in 2008. Let's remember, Stevia has been out there since actually 2001, before that in China as well, and it was used for traditional. So when I said 2008, it means the introduction of what we call it high purity Stevia, which is quality product that can actually go into your brands. And since its introduction, or since the approval of the aid in 2008, this has been a tool in your toolbox. And let me just give you a little bit of the dimensions and how can you actually use Stevia to innovate and put messages. First of all, Stevia is natural and comes through the leaf of the Stevia plant. You saw the video, it's undeniable. Plantations can be visited, farmers can be visited. It's absolutely undeniable that you can actually make that. And in China, most of that, because in China you have about 50,000 farmers that are actually already cultivating Stevia. It is 0 calories, obviously very important, because we're talking about reducing sugar. So you can use it mostly also blended with sugar to reduce some of the calories you're offering to your consumers. It is up to 400 times sweeter than sugar. So depending on how you blend the ingredients, actually, you use a lot, obviously, very little stevia to replace a lot of sugar. Basically what it means here is 1 kilo of stevia would represent 400 kilos of sugar. Also have to say that economically, because of the price of sugar, when you make that equation of 400 times, I can tell you now that the use of stevia will help you save money in your formulations. So economically, it's also important for you to get that. Innovation is nice, but on top of that, if you can get an economic benefit, it's much better. And most important is non-GMO. Not sure how that resonates. Non-GMO is extremely important in Europe for a long time. It's becoming very extremely now high profile in the United States and around the world. There's a lot of people actually asking for labeling that indicates the product is not GMO. So I talked about the stevia in China. Stevia actually is a plant, comes from Paraguay, so it has a lot of history. It's something new. Again, the innovation around the stevia leaf is what's really made it where it is today. Other messages also about the environment. So I talked about before about people caring not only about the health but the well-being of the planet. Well, if you look at compared to sugar, it uses 1/5 of the land required to grow sugar. That's an important one because obviously it makes your resources, natural resources, much more efficient. It actually has 30 to 80% less carbon than the next stevia sweetener or other natural sweeteners. So if you compare it to other products that actually be alternatives, you actually lose a lot more carbon footprint than other products. And that's actually measured by an independent company that can be provided. It also uses 92% less than other natural sweeteners. And by natural sweeteners, we mean sugar or fructose. So that's a very powerful message. So when you talk stevia, you talk sugar, but you talk about a lot of other things that you can actually innovate with very, very positive messages. So I mentioned before about new product launches. As you can see here, since 2010, today we have about 10,000 launches that's been in the past years. It continues to grow year on year. It continues to go in food, it continues to go in beverage, and you will see in my examples, it continues to grow in every geography around the world and every category around the world. This is an example, very, very summarized example. Obviously, we're talking about 10,000 new product launches, but this is an example by categories, where you see a very, very ubiquitous ingredient. It helps innovate in a lot of categories. A lot of you think that maybe stevia goes for teas or for beverages, but if you look at here, it's been actually used in ketchup by global leading brands like Heinz. Heinz has products in a number of countries that already have stevia in it. Obviously, it is also in cereals, and actually there's a lot of rising use in cereals because, as you know, the content of sugar makes a problem. It is in beverages, and it started in tea, it started in juices, but today we have a number of top brands in carbonated soft drinks that are incorporating more and more stevia usage in that. Okay. Also, you have it in dairy beverages, which is also growing. In sports and energy drinks, we had a presentation before about an alcoholic drink. We also have it in alcohol. I wish you could come to me when you needed some sweeteners in your beverage. So we have a lot of very, very ubiquitous number of categories too. Another thing I want to signal to, stevia has allowed a lot of companies to innovate and launch new products directed to children and to family. This was a problem before with the artificial sweetener alternatives that were there before. But consumers feel comfortable, and our customers feel comfortable to innovate more and more towards children as well, which is a new frontier that didn't exist before stevia. And I will also say that there's a lot of geographies, as I said, that we launched before. There's products today launched in places like Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Taiwan, Indonesia, etc., etc. As the regulatory approvals have gone through, a lot of the geographies, we can say today that stevia is totally a global phenomenon. So, how did we do that? I said that we did things different, and to make this possible. So we started with this leaf, with the stevia leaf, and we compared the natural that was there before, and I said it was not a color quality, with the sugar substitutes that we were actually going to go after. As you know, sugar substitutes, artificial substitutes, have been on for a long time. You know most of them. China manufactures a lot of them. Aspartame, saccharin, sucralose, ACK, etc. Those have existed for a long time. So replacing sugar with something else, it's not new, it exists. But these products have something different compared to stevia, if you want to go afterwards. First of all, it was pretty straightforward way to manufacture that to consistency scale. It is something, a molecule that was created in a lab, and you basically scale it and sell it to the food and beverage industry. When you did that, obviously, you just have one product, so it's easier actually to do that. So it's just one ingredient proposition. And the formulation is relatively easy to do. You know how much sugar you want to replace, you know what the artificial sweetener can do, and it's pretty straightforward. And relatively easy to scale, as I said before. But when you work with stevia in a natural product, it's very different. And that was the problem in China that there was before, in the sense that it was crude extract, and it was no consistency. It was difficult to scale. And the taste was not there to actually have big brands around the world to use it. So we did not invent the stevia. What we did invent is everything that comes around stevia. And for you that don't know, stevia is a plant. I call it a wonder of nature. It does have a number of sweeteners inside, not only one. Okay, so that's one thing you have to understand. I don't have time here to go in full detail, but when you do innovation around stevia, there's a lot of innovation still being created today around the ingredient, and there will be more coming into the future. The reason why is because that plant that you see here in these hands have about 40 different sweet molecules, 40. And some of them can be sold today in commercial scale, some of them are being scaled up to be sold. So basically you can do a lot of propositions and different solutions coming from that leaf. So the approach of doing what was done before was completely different when you take that leaf. So we saw a world of opportunities where a lot of people saw that this is just actually a plant, that the crude extract is used, is not really too good to go into big brands. So very important here, and that's one of the lessons, and this is obviously for food ingredient manufacturers, is that you have to have an integrated supply chain to be able to innovate. It starts with the plant breeding and agronomy program. It goes actually in taking that plant breeding and that plants that we actually develop and taking it into actual farmers, harvesting, Then you do extraction and purification. Now, let's stop there for a second again when we talk about innovating within the stevia industry, and what you probably know from many years ago how stevia tasted. In China, the production of stevia stopped in extraction. So what we brought in here is the finishing of that into purification and products that can actually be used in large food and beverage companies. Then obviously you have to know how to apply this product. One of the mistakes that a lot of the food and beverage companies do is they take the product and try to apply it like it's aspartame or something like this. It's different. You have to learn. We actually had to build a lot of capabilities. A lot of innovation also happens in how you apply this product. And finally, you are getting it into consumer products. I want to say a few things here. Without consistency and without quality and improving the taste, you cannot innovate. And if you don't control your supply chain, I don't think you can do effective innovation. There's other people in this industry that do manage a part of that, so their capacity to innovate is limited basically by what they control. Because a lot of the innovation starts with the leaf. As I said before, a lot of these molecules come out of the leaf, and it's very important the type of leaf that you actually plant and how actually you develop that leaf to be able to actually take the best products out of this. If you don't have that program, it's going to be extremely difficult. So when you have manufacturers that actually does the final stage, for instance, of purification, they're missing a lot on. And the missing part is you need to have control on your agronomy. You need to start developing leaf that contains exactly what you really mostly need, which is the molecules, the best taste. Without that, you cannot really innovate effectively in this industry. And obviously, I said before, is very important afterwards to be able to scale that and farmers. And that's probably one of the most complicated things that we have as in the industry, and we still have, is to be able to actually scale that, to be able to meet some of the consumer and customer demands. If you don't do that, you cannot launch a big brand because you will have no support in terms of the scale that you have to do that. So innovation has to go obviously with the scaling. And basically, as I said before, this is the stevia plant. You have glycosides, you have different sweeteners inside there. Our mission is to take those glycosides, extract them, purify them, combine them in a way that actually food and beverage companies can actually use them for innovation. So some of the very top examples of things that have been able to achieve that, and it's today we talk about this like it's a easy thing to do, but in 2008 when high purity stevia was first approved, it's quite incredible. But you have some of the big brands now using stevia. You have Coca-Cola using stevia, everybody knows about Coca-Cola Life. But also there are big brands as well, as this is just examples, like Fanta in Indonesia, but also it exists here in China, where basically the company is actually using stevia to reduce the sugar in some of the big brands. You also have innovation. In this case, this is an example of Oikos 000. In the US, this is actually Danone, and actually it's free of added sugar. Okay, so basically removing sugar completely. This is something that we can enable that by starting with our innovation in ingredients, our innovation in applications, and actually being able to provide those products to our customers so they actually can innovate into different concepts and propositions. Because that's another thing I forgot to say. When you talk about aspartame and you talk about these ingredients, traditionally the positioning was zero-calorie diet. With stevia you can actually do different reductions. You can position your products differently. You can actually talk about stevia, but you prefer to actually do a silent reformulation. And before I finish, just to let you know, and we are always learning, but I wanted to share with you some of the things we learned in this process of taking an ingredient that was more regional and not scalable and more of a lesser quality to actually a global phenomenon. I say to you that we have not failed. This is a Thomas Edison. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. And I tell you, even today, we keep trying to find new ways to actually keep innovating with this. Sometimes I feel in my company that we have even too much innovation, which is crazy because everybody wants to have innovation, but we try so many ways to actually improve the taste, the scalability, and the application of this product. And you have to keep trying. You have to have the mentality as a company that you're actually an innovator. This is one thing also is Wayne Crazy is the greatest ice hockey player in the world has ever existed. And he says, I skate to where the puck is going to be, not where it has been. And I can tell you this is a lesson. The company was founded in 2001. The founder of the company is still actually the CEO of the company and managing the company. And one of the biggest learnings I have from him is that actually that's absolutely true. If we hadn't really seen where that stevia could take us to and what the possibilities were, we probably still would be selling some crude extract to some companies regionally. And three, and very important, open collaboration is critical. If I have seen further than others, it is by standing up on the shoulders of giants, say that as Isaac Newton. And if from our company, from the very beginning, we've been established through partnerships. We're open, we like to innovate together with some of our customers, and that's the most important thing that we really see here. Collaborating and not thinking that you have all the answers is possible, and understanding the needs of your customers, buyer consumers, and as well as your partners. So thank you very much for your attention. I will be happy to.
感谢菲尔先生的精彩讲解，让我们对甜菊糖呢它的功效好处有了更深的认识。原来甜菊糖呢还有环保的价值，未来的应用呢一定会更加广阔。那么我们也期待呢我们食品行业呢从源头的创新会越多越好。大家有什么问题呢？需要向菲尔先生来沟通。
I have a question. With the extensive purification process, is it acceptable for global regulation to be called all natural or natural ingredient?
There's not such thing as a global regulation. Every country, region has different regulations and messages that you can put across. So, you know, for instance, in Europe, you cannot use natural not because of stevia. It's very difficult to actually call anything natural. You cannot even call sugar natural, if you put it that way, because it's very, very difficult. So, you know, in other countries like the US, there's no regulation about what you call natural or not. So it's an interpretation of every customer. In other places, actually, where, like, I give you a couple of examples, Indonesia, India, where it's approved. It's been approved explicitly as a natural sweetener, and actually can be used in the claims. So there is not such thing as a global regulation on how natural, not stevia alone, just natural is defined. So that actually changes from country to country. However, what I would say is the following. There is possibility that in some country you cannot use natural, as the message is actually very restrictive to say for any ingredient. What I can tell you is, in our consumer research, there are other type of claims, like coming from coming from a leaf, you know, coming from a stevia leaf, you know, from a natural origin, that resonate absolutely exactly the same with consumers than if you put it natural or natural. So my point is, there are regulations, those change country to country, but there's always ways that you can communicate natural, even if it's not straightforward to say all natural.
Great presentation and a great product. By the way, I'm from PureCircle, so I know your product very well. So I'm just curious, because as we know, for the stevia product, we have issues too, particularly the aftertaste at high dosage. I'm just curious, do you have any innovation plan to protect that?
Yes, so absolutely. And if you look at, as what I said, it's a natural product, it's not so straightforward. And if you look at the aftertaste or the taste issues that stevia has had, we haven't resolved everything yet, I have to be very honest with you. But if you look at before Rebate, high purity of stevia was approved, where the stevia extract was in China, to what Rebate did, and to what the ingredients that we're bringing to market is a big improvement. You have now products that have 75% reduction in sugar and taste well. So there's been a big improvement from the beginning. How is this
improvement done? It's basically by being able to take new products from the leaf, improve the taste, by combining better molecules, by doing different combinations and bringing this application to our customers. So although it is not yet fully all application resolved, it's been a big improvement from where we started to where we are today. Does it mean that we stop here? No. We do have innovation today, okay? And I know I'm going to participate in a panel afterwards where I'm going to be asked about the challenges. Our biggest challenges today is that we do have innovation today, I can guarantee you, of product from stevia that tastes exactly like sugar. And you will have no aftertaste even if you remove all sugar in your sodas. So what's the issue? The issue is that when you have a natural product, scaling takes a little bit of time. And that's why I said before in my presentation that innovation is so key to that. How can you actually scale that? It starts with your agriculture program. We have to have better leaf that delivers some of these molecules in a higher percentage than the leaf today. When you do have that, and you do the extraction, the purification, you can sell it. But it's going to take a little bit of time because we're going to continue doing that naturally. Okay? So the aftertaste, yes, it's been always a story. It's been used in China for a long time, so Chinese companies know about the aftertaste, but please try it today. You will see that there's big improvement. And then for the future, we will actually resolve all aftertaste issues when you come to 0 calorie. It's just that it's not going to be tomorrow. It's going to take a few years, maybe 2-3 years, we're going to be there. So it's coming. Okay? The other thing also I'd like to say is that the aftertaste, it depends on how much sugar you replace. When I'm talking about aftertaste, the more sugar you replace, obviously the aftertaste comes up. But if you do a lot of the products you've seen here, 30 even to 50%, I think you can formulate products that actually taste quite good. And that's why the launches are happening today.
Thank you for your presentation for me to understand Stevias. Now we take like almost 30 minutes to understand this Stevia, but when come to the reality, when to cooperation with the manufacturers, we could not gather the customers together into a room to give the presentation. So my question is, how could we help customer to understand this kind of Stevia, to understand the product better, because we are using better ingredient now? Do you have this kind of cooperation or this kind of?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We do. And I'm telling you, this is something also that concerns me, because the understanding of food and beverage companies of our ingredients Stevia is so important. Because otherwise, you will not understand why you can innovate. You will not understand how you can apply it. And the reason is because this is something very new. We look about innovation. Up to now, you have aspartame, you have sucralose, you have things like that. There's one molecule, you try it, it works, it doesn't work. If I have my people coming to you, you're going to be overwhelmed. Because you're going to see all these new products being manufactured. And then you're going to have all these questions about supply chain. It's not just about manufacturing. And then I have to explain to you about all the agriculture and all of this. The only way to do that is, we have ways to do that. We have programs called like, PureCircle University, where we take 2-3 days and we take actually our customers through agriculture, to products, to innovation, to try to explain that, okay? However, my issue is that I'm always frustrated because in these PCUs or in these meetings, you have certain people attending for a few hours. And a lot of times you have to really bring that message across the whole company. You have to bring the message across purchasing, that they don't understand that this is actually a product that grows. And when you do plan for buying this, you have to know as well that you have to plan enough ahead of time. That, it doesn't maybe behave as a commodity today. You have to bring to the R&D people and present them all the tools you have coming from that leaf. Then you have to go to the marketing people and tell them all the claims. So this is an ongoing thing for us. It's like being evangelizing, as I call it. You have to really explain to people. It's a change because if you don't know, it's quite complex. All these products, how you can do that, how you grow this and all that. So I do agree with you. We have tools to do that, but it's never really enough. There was a question.
Yeah, hi. A great presentation, very impressive. I have a question. With the consumer trends changing to be more health conscious, would your company have a reservation or hesitation of people are drinking less sugar drink or less sugar food? And then what would be your vision of connecting with the customers while the consumers are more trending towards a more health conscious lifestyle?
So your question is why consumers are trending to more healthy lifestyle?
They're drinking less sugar, so your demand may be a lot less in the future.
No, I think that obviously I understand what you're saying. If they drink less sugar, logically they'll need less stevia to reduce that sugar. But I think I see it in a different way. Because when I say that the consumers are looking for natural, I'm not saying that consumers are not still looking for the products they love and the taste they love. They're not really willing to compromise. They're not. So, the thing is, what we're trying to do is keep bringing the products that consumers, that's our idea, how to make this product a mass consumption, is to have this idea that you can still enjoy your products and the taste you like, but you don't have to, but you can reduce and you can moderate your calorie intake. That's the idea. So it's not only about saying, okay, people don't consume sugar, they'll consume less of these products, etc. It's actually, one, be able to provide our food and beverage manufacturers the possibility that by moderating calories, consumers will react better to your regular products. Okay, number one. Number two, we also actually give you tools to actually innovate and do new product concepts that actually can be on the healthy trend. So I don't see it as, okay, less sugar is less consumption for stevia. I think it's an opportunity for stevia, if you ask me. And I think that, again, taste and enjoyment of products is still there, and consumers still want to have it. What we're trying to do is provide a tool that they can do that by still having a good consciousness about the healthy that they have, okay? I mean, I give you an example. I've been talking a lot about, you've seen a lot of brands here, but we're in China, and I used to be actually in the artificial sweetness before, so I have some experience. Today in China, you see a lot of teas that are already using stevia in their formulation. And I'm not talking about only new products, I'm talking about regular products from very major brands. If you turn around and you look at the ingredient list, they've been actually reducing sugar with stevia. So this is actually happening in China, and happening in teas, ready-to-drink teas, is a big milestone. Why is it a big milestone? Because I can tell you that ready-to-drink teas in China are much larger consumption than carbonated soft drinks compared to the West. Why are they taking stevia? It's because it has the natural halo, and they feel good about using it. I tried to sell many years artificial sweetener to tea companies in China. Impossible. They did not want to because they had an image to preserve. So you can actually improve the image of your products and still keep the taste for consumers to consume. So I think it's actually the contrary. It's a positive, and it's actually an opportunity.